This is Sam Long.
I'm John Nugent.
And I am Ron Peters.
Welcome to the After Class Podcast.
Because the best conversations happen
After class.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the After Class Podcast. We're glad to have you along. A couple episodes ago, we talked about our opening banter, and we kind of put out there as a crowdsource where people might be interested in asking us questions they wanted to know about. And we already got a response from Adrian. We knew her as Stratton, and she married, and her new name, we don't know how to pronounce it because none of us have met him.
So it's either sweet, sweat, or what'd you say?
Sweat?
Sweat. Or sweet.
Sweet, sure.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, sorry we butchered that, but we just don't know. You're welcome to correct us, Adrian.
Yes, please do.
Adrian's a Great Lakes grad, amazing person.
Yeah.
Works with Go Ministries, so we can plug that. And she's given us, a list of like 6 or 7
Gave us 6 questions.
good starter questions. And we especially need them on days like today because we're recording back-to-back episodes and nothing's happened of news to report.
Exactly.
But we can't just begin with nothing.
Yes,
Right.
we could, but John doesn't like that.
Well, if we jump right in, then we alienate people like my wife, who mainly listen to hear the initial banter.
That doesn't affect me as much as you.
Carrie doesn't want to hear our banter.
Carrie doesn't listen, so it doesn't matter.
Right. But I mean, she gave us some really good questions, and some of them we're just going to have to come back to because it's like, oh, I think I need to think about that before I can answer it.
There's some good thinkers.
But we found one that was easy.
Easy
Yeah.
peasy. What was the question?
What's your
What is your go-to
gas station snack?
gas station snack?
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of traveling this summer
Okay.
and a lot of stopping at gas stations. Now, when I'm driving alone, the gas station stop is gas and go.
Yeah.
When I'm driving with my family, it's gas and pee and other things. So we have. I like to get little treats when I go into. That's why I stay out of the gas station because I'm going to buy something guaranteed.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and first of all, I look for what's on sale is like a twofer or something.
Okay.
But in lieu of that, I will always get either a Take 5 or a Fast Break because
Okay.
they are delicious. Also, if I'm hungry, I'm going to get a Tornado.
What's a tornado?
Tornado are the little rolls with meat inside that are rolling on the thing by the sausages
Oh,
and the
right.
hot
Oh, my
dogs
gosh.
and
The
by the
hot
wizard
food.
fingers.
I always wondered who ate those.
Oh, I do.
And now I actually
They're
know somebody
fine.
else.
They're good.
Okay, I'm not doubting you.
They got a
I
buffalo chicken one. They got like a steaky one. They're tasty. to me.
Okay, good to know.
There you go.
What do you?
So mine, it's predictably, for those who know me, going to be in the Reese's family.
Sure.
But my go-to is not the Reese's cup. I do not
No.
want that on the road.
A lot sticky.
Yeah. So, but I do want. What I do like is the Reese's Crispy Crunchy.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
the mashup of the Reese's cup standard, the chocolate, the peanut butter, but with the Butterfinger,
Oh, okay, yeah.
right? With the Butterfinger kind of in the middle, and then like, it's kind of like if a Reese's, a Snicker bar, and a Butterfinger had a baby. That's what the Reese's Crispy Crunchy would be,
Gotcha.
and I just love it. I think it's up there with the holiday Reese's thing. If I want
Oh,
something
right,
more
yeah.
than the perfect holiday ratio of peanut butter to chocolate in the tree or whatever,
Yeah.
the Easter egg, not the American flag for 4th of July. They don't have that.
Not yet.
But but the Reese's Crispy Crunchy is my favorite, and they barely sell it anywhere.
Yeah, I've never
So
seen that.
it is my go-to on road trips because gas stations are the only place I ever see them.
And it's not every gas station ever.
And it's not every gas station.
Have
So
you
when I'm
noticed,
on the
like-
road, I'm on the hunt for these because I never have them, and I don't have regular access to
Have you
it.
figured out which chains actually have them?
I haven't looked
Too
for a
random,
pattern.
huh? Okay.
I haven't looked for a pattern,
Gotcha.
but I know there was at least the last one I got. Yeah, I forget the name. I don't think it was a Marathon. I think it was a Marathon actually. Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay.
go with Marathon had it.
All right.
So you prefer that over like the Fast Break? The Fast Break is so good. It's peanut butter and nougat, surrounded in chocolate. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fast breaks.
Right,
Like
but
all
it's-
these, we have a similar palate when
Yeah.
it comes to the
Oh,
peanut butter chocolate
yeah,
thing.
right.
So yeah, I love all things
Okay.
peanut butter and chocolate. Yeah, you add nuts to it, fine. Nougat to it, fine. Like I love them all.
Okay.
But I think the Reese's Crispy Crunchy has just like set itself at a higher level. Have you had
Wow.
one?
I don't think I have, and I'm
It's
gonna have
worth
to try
trying.
it. Oh, definitely, of course. I've got more trips left this summer. I'm definitely gonna try it
And maybe you can report back in an episode.
for sure.
like,
Everyone's gonna be waiting with bated
your
breath. How I
experience
feel
of the
about it.
Reese's Crispy Crunchy.
Well, and now you've got something you got to do. It's like, all right, I got to find a gas station. Every time you go to a gas station, you got to see if they have them.
It's called Crispy Crunchy.
Something like that. I think so. The Reese's
okay.
Crispy Crunchy.
All right.
It may have just. I think at one point I think it was the Reese's Crisp, and that was like just the mashup of the Reese's and the Butterfinger. But then I feel like I can't find that anymore, and that's the one I really love. All I can find is a Reese's Crispy Crunchy, and so it's got a little bit more going on, like in the nutty department. In addition,
Oh, it's nutty.
It's nutty for sure.
I don't think nougat, but anyway, yeah, that's my go-to, and it's really I get paralyzed when I go to gas stations. There's too many options.
There are a lot.
Oh,
In
right,
the
yeah.
beverage department and in the like, it's just too much, and I'm just like I just go for the one thing. So it's literally the only thing I buy in gas stations, which is going to be more than perhaps Ron.
Yeah, because I don't buy anything at gas stations. I saw the
Sucker's
question. Yeah, it's like I don't have a go-to because when I go to a gas station, we get gas. And at the most, we use the bathroom. But we just take care of business and we leave. And so I don't like buying gas station food. If Suzanne and I are going on a long trip, we'll usually make snacks. And so we'll have homemade snacks that we get into. And we look for coffee shops, you know. I don't usually buy snacks in coffee shops either, but we get coffee for the road. I don't drink pop, you know, I drink water, I drink coffee, and that's about it. So I don't have a favorite. Sorry, Adrian, I don't have an answer for you here, but this is not something that I do.
I would say it's not my favorite, but the most unique gas station treat I ever had that was surprisingly delicious was in Australia, and it was a Snicker. It was a coffee flavored Snicker bar,
Ooh, that would be
and
good.
it was really good.
I'll bet.
Like it weakens the coffee. I'm not a huge coffee person, right? Like, but it has a little bit of coffee accent in there, and the Snicker bar, and it is phenomenal. And I've been looking for it everywhere. I've been like trying to Google it and see if I can order it, get it online. I can't get it anywhere, but I found it on an island where we watched little penguins come on the beach from the ocean, and it was at a gas station, and it was the most unique thing I've ever discovered and ate, and it was delicious. So if anyone knows, I'm just out there, it's like crowdsourcing. Anyone knows where to find this Snicker coffee mashup, please share the wealth. But I do want to ask a follow-up question. How about gas station beverage? If you're going for a beverage, what's the one you choose?
I mean, I get bottled water. I know. It's
All right,
like,
there's something there.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
boy,
if I'm going to
yikes.
buy anything, it's going to be a bottle of water. I just, like I said, I don't like pop. I don't like any of that stuff. And so I want water or I want coffee, and I'm not drinking gas station coffee. You know, I'm looking for a good coffee shop.
So it depends on the length of the trip and how much is left. It really does.
Yep.
So if it's a short trip, I'm not going to get anything because I'll have water in the car. I don't need to
Right,
buy
yeah.
it. But if it's a longer trip, I will probably get a Monster.
Okay,
Just to because both the the caffeine or whatever, but also the active drinking keeps me awake more.
Sure.
So that's usually what I get. 'Cause I'm not a big pop guy, so typically it's not going to be a pop. If it's anything, it's going to be like a Monster or something.
Yeah. Well, for me, the same principle applies. I get the thing that I can only get at gas stations, and I really don't see anywhere else. And this is the orange flavored Coke Zero,
Oh sure.
Oh, wow.
that mashup. And
Wow.
I don't see that anywhere. You don't see it in bottles. People aren't bringing it to parties. But I love that. I was surprised when Coke mashed up with the orange flavor, or the orange cream.
Yeah.
Orange cream Coke Zero. It's quite a good drink.
Wow.
And it's unique, and it matches the Reese's wrapping. So
you
it's,
go.
it's
Of course
kinda,
it does.
you bring it all together.
Well, have you ever been to the Coke plant down in Atlanta?
Yes, I'm
'Cause they have, like-
scarred from it.
Yeah, because they have like taps of everything. It's like 100
Oh,
different
wow.
combinations that you can get on tap there.
And there was like this one from some European country that is actually disgusting. Like you're drinking vomit. Like, that is my memory from the Coke factory. There are all sorts of like, all right, predictable Coke,
Yeah.
different variants, and this one is like, ugh! And that's the only thing I can think of when I think of that Coke factory. Did you ever taste the disgusting one?
I've never been there. People have talked about it.
Oh,
And so
okay.
when you were talking about the unusual flavors, I immediately went to
Yeah.
the Coke factory in Atlanta.
One of those machines needs a warning label.
This will make you.
It'll ruin
ill.
your palate for like 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I kind of want to know what it is,
Yeah.
just so I can.
I gotta
avoid
taste
it.
that then.
Yeah, I don't.
My
wanna
whole
taste it.
family agreed. Like it must be known for that, but it's
But
gross.
somewhere in the world, people are like, "This is so great.
Yeah.
How is it that people don't like this?"
Yeah, why don't people like the taste of dog vomit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good lead into our series. Although a dog returned to his vomit in Proverbs.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
Good. Good.
before I do that, I'll say but Buc-ee's for me has changed all that. Buc-ee's gas stations, which is
Okay.
not a gas station, it's a Walmart with gas,
Right.
basically. And so, like, I go there and I'll get their brisket or something. That's the snack I'll get when I'm around Buc-ee's, or the little honey roasted almonds. I'll get that. As
Oh,
well.
okay. Yep.
But that's
Yeah.
only at Buc-ee's.
Yeah, coming back from SCJ this last year was the first time I'd ever been into a Buc-ee's.
It's quite a time, isn't it?
It's quite an experience.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm not the fan that some people are, but
If Walmart were a gas station, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
That's
pretty
not
great.
wrong.
I don't think I've been there.
Oh man, it's
I would like to try some of their food though. I was not at
it's
all
fine.
hungry, and
tasty.
so I was like, I wonder if this is any good.
I mean, people freak out about it because you're getting like actual like smoked meats at a gas station, but it's fine.
Yeah,
It's not bad.
give it a try.
All right. Well, speaking of proverbs and funny ones, before we jump out of proverbs, I wanted to bring over one more proverb, and it sort of stands for a collection of proverbs. There are many proverbs written, mostly probably by men, that are funny to guys that are probably less funny to women.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to, bag on women, but there's a funny one I want to read. It actually comes right on the heels of the one we ended with the previous episode, which is about the whole waking up early and it's a curse if you wake up early and yell, right?
Yeah.
Well, the very next one, it's in chapter 27, verse 15. It says this: "A continual dripping on a rainy day, and a contentious wife are alike." Which I think they're annoying is
Yeah.
what it's saying.
Yep.
And I don't know. I just there's that. And there's others like that where better a corner on a rainy roof than with a contentious wife.
Right, yeah.
Just funny things where relationships are complicated,
Yeah.
and every once in a while it's okay to make fun of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I like what I like about this is you can really relate. Like people back in the day, like us, are annoyed by dripping faucets. Like, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like that. I mean, to me, that's the funny thing about it. You could have equated it like
Sure.
like a jerk at work or a boss or whatever. Like you could insert all sorts of things into the place of contentious wife.
right. Yeah,
But I find it funny that a dripping faucet annoyed them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you just think like people back then were like better than us or like less petty or whatever like that. But like dripping faucet, like someone do something with that faucet. And
I
you
know.
just
We
can't
gotta
imagine like
get rid of that sound.
bald Elisha saying that.
Yeah. Well, I think about if they don't have the sort of weatherproofing we do, so there's gonna be a lot of dripping, I'm sure, in their homes.
Oh yeah,
And are they gonna try to collect the rainwater and like
probably.
copper or whatever thing is like dunk dunk dunk?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably have a lot more of it in their life
Yeah.
than we do because they're trying to capture as much water as possible.
Still annoying, but nonetheless.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Well, moving on from the proverbs.
Sadly, by the way, we could probably do a whole series on humor in the proverbs because
yeah.
many of them are built on images that are intended to sort of capture your imagination.
Without a
And
doubt.
so,
Without a
so we're not overlooking those of you who's like, well, that's funny to me. I'm sure it is, but we don't have time to do all that.
Someone wants to come up with a comprehensive list for us. That'd be great. Have it in our files for an intensive Proverbs humor
Sure.
session.
But we're moving on to the prophets. And so the first we're going to look at is Isaiah 20, verses 1 through 4. Putting on my reading glasses. In the year that the commander-in-chief, who was sent by the king of Sargon of Assyria, came to Ashdod and fought against it and took it, parenthetically, at that time the Lord Yahweh had spoken to Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, "Go and loose the sackcloth from your loins and take your sandals off your feet." And he had done so, walking naked and barefoot. Then the Lord said, "Just as my servant Isaiah has walked naked and barefoot for 3 years as a sign and a portent against Egypt and Cush, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians as captives and the Cushites as exiles, both the young and the old, naked and barefoot, with buttocks uncovered to the shame of Egypt." And so you got the naked prophet, who apparently had to walk around naked for 3 years.
It's a lot.
That's a
That's
long time to walk around naked.
Yeah. I mean, what does that do to a person?
Apparently, it gives you no shame. I would guess.
I was gonna
don't
say,
know.
Right.
after
Like
a
you
while,
have to
you're
be
just kinda
impervious to people's thoughts about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's at first it's got to be uncomfortable who wouldn't be, well, I guess there are a few people maybe, but in general, people would be really uncomfortable walking around naked. But after 3 years, you're just like, yeah, this is just my normal. This is just life now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how the original audience would have read this, whether they would find someone walking around naked for 3 years funny. But
Right.
it certainly is not, it doesn't appear that God's motive is humor.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure not.
Like, apparently, like, part of how conquering armies humiliated cities is that they make people strip down and then parade them on this walk of shame.
Yeah, right.
Right. But, thinking about, what must have the life of the naked prophet been like?
Yeah.
There had to be so many numerous moments that Isaiah had in conversation with people, and that other people are having conversations about the naked prophet. And
Right, yeah.
so in its original context, this is he is being subject to shame for 3 years, and that's anticipating the shame of those upon whom God's judgment falls.
But, Isaiah had friends. He had family.
Exactly.
And so there had to be moments where people were like, all right, come on, Isaiah. You're walking around naked. You've been doing this for, several months
get
now. And there had to be some jokes going on. It's like, God told me to do it. Okay, yep, you got to do what God told you to do. But there had to have been some humorous moments between them, just among friends.
I tell students, the calling by God is a difficult one
Without a
in
doubt.
different ways.
Yep. All right, we done with that?
Yeah, it can be.
All right, we're going to do another one where the Bible mocks idolatry. This one from Isaiah, and I think it might be the best one.
Pretty good.
In terms of humor, is from Isaiah 44. I'll do a little bit of prep starting in verse 9. All who make idols are nothing, and the things they delight in do not profit. Their witnesses neither see nor know, and so they will be put to shame. Who would fashion a god or cast an image that can do no good? All its devotees shall be put to shame. The artisans, too, are merely human. Let them all assemble. Let them stand up. Let them be terrified. They shall all be put to shame. So this is the introduction.
Yep.
Idols and idol makers, shame on them. Verse 12. This is where he gets into, like, here's literally what happens to make an idol. Verse 12. The blacksmith works it with a tool over the coals, shaping it with hammers, and forging it with his strong arm. He becomes hungry, and his strength fails. He drinks no water and is faint. The carpenter stretches a line, marks it out with a stylus, fashions it with planes, and marks it with a compass. He makes it in human form, with human beauty, to be set up in a shrine. He cuts down cedars, or chooses a holm tree, or an oak, and lets it grow strong among the trees of the forest. He plants a cedar, and the rain nourishes it. Then it can be used as fuel. Part of it he takes and warms himself. He kindles a fire and bakes bread. Then he makes a god and worships it, makes a carved image and bows down before it. Half of it he burns in the fire. Over this half he roasts meat, eats it, and is satisfied. He also warms himself and says, "Ah, I am warm," by the fire. The rest of it he makes into a god, his idol, bows down to it, and worships it. He prays to it and says, "Save me, for you are my God." Am I supposed to read more?
It does say to go through 20, but
All right, I'll keep reading. They do not know, nor do they comprehend, for their eyes are shut, so they cannot see, and their minds as well, so they cannot understand. No one considers, nor is there knowledge or discernment to say, half of it I burned in the fire. I also baked bread on its coals. I roasted meat and have eaten. Now shall I make the rest of it an abomination? Shall I fall down before a block of wood? He feeds on ashes and He feeds on ashes. A deluded mind has led him astray, and he cannot save himself or say, "Is not the thing in my right hand a fraud?"
Yeah, and it's great where it's one of those like taking an argument to its logical end,
right.
which is it's an excellent sort of technique when you're trying to take down someone, which is exactly what Isaiah is doing. Like, okay, well let's take for granted that this is an actual thing. How does it happen? And it goes back, and it's just hilarious to say. And that's his point. Like the very same wood you use to warm your meal, you now has turned into a god. How does that even work?
Yeah. And that's, I think, my favorite part of it. You're going to make your meal over half that word, over half the wood, and then bow down to the rest and say, "Save me, help me,"
Right.
even though I burned half of you up and cooked food over it. And it's just a really powerful image. And it shows, it really does. It shows the absolute idiocy of the act. But there are people who would look at that and go, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. To me, that's like the sad part is people hear that, they understand it. And they're like, yep, it's still an idol. I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
And I like the way he goes back in time. Like, yeah, a man gets a seed and plants a tree in the woods, and like it's totally emphasizing this is a human creation.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, you grew the tree, you cut it down, you cut a block of it. Some of it you made a fire with, some of it you cooked your food over, and the other you whittled and made it into a shape and said, "You're my God."
Yeah.
Like you have to be self-aware throughout this whole process that this is the work of a human hand. Now, Sam, in defense of idol worshippers,
Wow. Okay, but yes, I'm with you.
what would a Babylonian idol maker say in the face of this mockery?
Right. He would call out the straw man fallacy and say that what Isaiah is doing is not what they do and not what they believe. Actually, they would say that. I mean, there are practices, there are rituals that actually imbue the thing with kind of the presence and the power of the deity. It's not just a simple act of making an idol all of a sudden becomes a god. They didn't think that. And they didn't think it was the god necessarily. It was more of a way to interact with the deity and on some level control and manipulate the deity. But they wouldn't say this thing that I've just made is the god. Isaiah does, but that's not what they would actually say.
Well, and I think that you see that not only in Israelite history, but you get into like Greek and Roman worship too. It's like, yeah, we know it's a block of stone, but the god can inhabit that and turn it into something you can interact with. And if the god's not there, you're just interacting with a block of stone. But other times, it could, and that's where, like, especially in Greco-Roman society, they came up with elaborate schemes to make their gods move or make noise or things like that, and to try to at least fool the people into thinking that there was something more going on. I guess if they were really going to attack idolatry, they'd have to come up with a way of attacking that process, not just the making of the idol, but the very process of somehow inviting the god to be a part of this thing that we made with our hands.
Yeah, I mean, they have this whole, like in Mesopotamian society, they have this whole mispi ritual, which is like the opening of the mouth, which is like giving the idol life, so to speak, or like the presence of the deity. At that point, they can then feed the idol, which is going to then feed the deity, and I mean, they view that it was like the idol, again, was not the god, but it was like a sort of a portal to the god on some level. And so you got to keep that in mind. You mentioned about breaking down and the idol making and all the rest. I think, of course, Daniel and the additions of Daniel. We talked about,
as well,
100%, where he just destroys that logic. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. The God's not eating anything. Your little people are eating it. And
yeah, I see their footprints going through here after I scattered the ashes all over the place.
Yeah. As a choice we had to make, are we going to include the Apocrypha? Because there are lots of, like, Tobit and the bird pooping his eyes and he goes blind and...
Well, we had a whole series on the intertestamental stuff.
And then a dragon or big serpent that they feed a patch of tar dirt and
blows up.
And so much funny stuff in the Apocrypha. But yeah, so here again, they're mocking the idols, and but don't think, I guess why we had this little tangent and why I asked the question, what would the defense be? Don't think that, like, boy, did he take them down. They had nothing. Like, they could have had a comeback.
Right.
And they could have said, and you do things kind of like this too. Like, you think just because you have a piece of, a gold object in a special tent that you've built, that if someone touches it, they become ritually unclean. And you need to do, and then, the Babylonian king and his army can just, like, go ahead and march into the Holy Holies and take things and take them to Babylon. Like, so there is an equivalent logic that can be thrown against the Israelites. So just try to contextualize it, but it's still funny.
It's still funny. Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Isaiah's not done yet, and this next one is kind of we might call it a play on words or a play on images. And I'll read it, and then we'll just go with it.
And I'm curious whether they experienced this in the original in the way that.
It's a good question. Is it just funny to us, or was it funny to them also? It's in chapter 56 of Isaiah. I'll start in verse 3. It says this: "Do not let the foreigner join to Yahweh say, Yahweh will surely separate me from his people. And do not let the eunuch say, I'm just a dry tree. For thus says Yahweh, to the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, who choose the things that please me, and hold fast my covenant, I will give, in my house and within my walls, a monument and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off." So the play there is
Yeah.
eunuchs have had their male member cut off or
Right.
doesn't function, and so he's like, "This one thing happened to you before, but in the future, it won't happen again. At least when it comes to
Your name
my
will
brother."
not be cut off like your
like
member.
your member. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And there's something funny, guys can get a chuckle out of that because it's funny. To me, it's just a funny passage. Like, good job. I'm glad that you said that. But yeah, I kind of wonder, would they have had that same response to it?
I suspect they would have. I just don't know if the original author meant it. Like, because this phrase, "a name that shall not be cut off," is a
Oh,
stock
sure.
phrase that occurs in multiple contexts. So if in the other passages, give them an everlasting name, period,
Yeah.
or a name that will endure forever, period. And this is the only one that had, only when talking about eunuchs did he say, "a name that shall not be cut off."
Yeah.
That to me would be like, okay, that's totally intentional. They were doing this. As it is, as it stands, it's a play on words, whether intended or not. And it's
Yes.
kind of funny.
It's funny for us either way.
Well, and it'd be funny if, if the prophet would have said it and everybody started chuckling and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just got it." I was like, I didn't mean it that way.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, didn't mean it, but yep, great move on your part. That
So
never happens on this podcast.
As our resident expert, Sam, why did eunuchs get their members cut?
Well,
Our resident expert.
our
On Old
phallic
Testament.
expert Sam. Oh, wow. Okay. So when put into service of other nations, especially, they get so that you would not necessarily interact with the females that you were perhaps serving. So we see that, like the story of Esther. I think that's what's going on. You got these eunuchs who are serving around the king. Well, they're not going to worry about them, having intercourse with the queen because they can't. Right, so that's one reason. Others, it can be by an accident. So they become Paul says by eunuchs by birth or by choice,
Right, yeah.
And there are things that happen, like the body, physical things happen, and so you become a eunuch because of whatever circumstances in life happened.
Yeah. I mean, it could be an accident that affects, like the nervous system, where nerves get cut, and it's like just doesn't work the way it was, designed to work anymore. And so you didn't choose to be that; it was an accident, but you are effectively a eunuch now. So
Especially pagan kings, they didn't have just the queen; they had this harem.
Oh, sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so to have servants that are constantly around his presumably attractive harem, like there are beautiful women all over the palace.
right,
You don't want the storyline to be constantly your servants are messing around with the king's wives and concubines.
And your progeny, like you're having children with these women, and then you need to know they're yours and not
that was
the servants.
Yeah, you beat me to the point there.
Oh, sorry.
No. I mean, it's a good point though, because you want to protect the line, and so you don't want even the very thought that this kid could be somebody else's kid. It's got to be the king's kid. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And so leave it to the Bible to say, hey, if this has happened to you, your story's not over. Like, you can still have a place in the kingdom, and God doesn't write you off, right, based on your impotence, right, for procreation. You can be really big and important for God's kingdom. And if you've been meant to, and I think this is talking to foreigners, I think it's talking about Jews who were put into exile and then have come back to Jerusalem. This is kind of anticipating post-exilic situations. And so, like, Israelites, like, their big thing is to have children, and that through their offspring, all nations will be blessed. So, like, procreation is how the people of God grow from Abraham on. And so they could think that, man, the one thing I can contribute to the future of world history is to have children who can become that blessing to the nations. And since I can't do that, what is my place around here? And God is saying, well, there's still a place for you if you keep loyal to Torah. And so it is a word of hope, and one that I think that hope is fulfilled with the Ethiopian eunuch story in Acts, where he comes to the Lord. His conversion is kind of a fulfillment of this prophecy. So
Yeah, I agree. Moving on from Isaiah, we're going to move to Ezekiel next. We're going to talk a little bit about bread. So Ezekiel chapter 4 is where we're picking up, verse 9. And so we get this message to Ezekiel. And you, take wheat and barley, beans and lentils, millet and spelt. Put them into one vessel and make bread for yourself. During the number of days that you lie on your side, 390 days, you shall eat it. The food that you eat shall be 20 shekels a day by weight. It should be 20 shekels a day by weight. Sorry about that. And fixed times you shall eat it. You shall drink water by measure, 1/6 of a hin. At fixed times you shall drink. You shall eat it as barley cake, baking it in their sight on human dung. How far are we going on this? 15. The Lord said, Thus shall the people of Israel eat their bread, unclean among the nations to which I will drive them. Then I said, Lord God, I have never defiled myself. From my youth up till now, I have never eaten what died of itself, or was torn by animals, nor has carrion flesh come into my mouth. Then he said to me, See, I will let you have a cow's dung instead of human dung, on which you may prepare your bread. So I guess that's a little better, a little bit
For
better.
sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to cook bread, you want it to be the right kind of dung,
That's
as
right.
we all know.
Cow's dung is much better. It does. This is funny because it makes me think about, going to the store and buying Ezekiel bread. Yep. Yeah. And so the question I have is, did you cook this out of cow manure?
No chance.
Yeah. If this is Ezekiel bread, have you read the whole passage? Actually, I used to eat Ezekiel bread all the time because I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Oh, that makes one of us.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic.
It's disgusting.
Why do you think it's disgusting?
It's too grainy. And
it's unnatural.
Yeah.
I love grainy bread.
Even without the poop smell.
Well, I mean, I've had it recently because I taught my prophetic lit class, and my son brought in for a salted chase, and it was gross then too. It's just not good.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I want bark and roots and stuff like that in my bread. It's just really good.
I like a multi-grain bread.
Yeah.
But I've tried the Ezekiel bread. It does not. It's supposed to be unnatural. And this is the funny thing to me about this passage. People think, now you like it because you like eating dirt bark. I mean, you've been a coffee fan for a long time. And, but like some people think that this is like God's recipe, the perfect loaf to be made. And this is a prophetic sign of judgment. The reason why you're making bread out of these scraps that can be found in the corner of your house is because there is so much scarcity because your city has been destroyed, that your grain has been stolen or you've used it all up. And now you have to make bread out of whatever, belly lint is sitting in the corner and stuff like this. And just try to make bread out of nothing.
Yeah.
And so this is never the ingredients the people of God would have chosen to make their bread with. It's what they're forced to make it because they don't have the normal bread ingredients. I don't think it's supposed to taste good.
Right. It's not.
And it's not necessarily supposed to be healthy. It's a sign of God's judgment and your scarcity. And then, even if it was not cooked over dung, it's not supposed to be like God's perfect recipe for human health.
Yeah.
Found
It's
in the
like
Bible.
go into the wood shop, sweep together all the sawdust you can from what you're working on, and use that to make bread. It would be awful.
Well, I thought of that. I think during the Depression era, they would use sawdust and things just to make it go further because they had very little. Yeah. You wouldn't do that today. That'll help got me thrive. Thanks, God.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I want to do this, but if you're just if you cut up a tree, your body can digest a little bit of that. It's still just plant material. We eat plant material all the time.
Sure.
But it's not.
It's not
what
God's
you want
recipe for thriving.
Exactly.
Like I said, Ron.
Not what you want to eat.
You like the bark. That's fine.
I do like.
You like the bark.
I like the bark, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. Did we say we wanted to read this next passage?
I
There are
would be
several that we cut because it was.
We didn't say to cut this one. I think we could.
I thought we were. So.
Okay, I'm not going to read the next one. I'm going to move on to the one after that. There are all sorts of passages that talk about genitalia that come off funny to moderns, and especially when genitalia are compared to the genitalia of horses.
Yeah.
Right.
And anyone who's been around horses, if you know, you know.
Knows what you're talking about.
We don't need to go any
All right,
further.
sure.
You know what we're talking about. And if you don't, that's not.
All right, so we're going to go to Ezekiel.
I think we're
Right. Hazael, Amos. Sorry, yeah, I'm trying to flip pages and pivot on the fly here.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Amos
John.
chapter 5, verse 18. And this is just a quick passage that's kind of ironic, not really a knee slapper, but it's a prophet being just very deliberate and careful and imaginative and visual with words in ways that you can kind of feel the passage, and it's funny. So Amos 5, verses 18 to 20. Woe to you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you want the day of the Lord? It is darkness, not light, as if someone fled from a lion and was met by a bear, or went into the house and rested a hand against the wall and was bitten by a snake. Is not the day of the Lord darkness, not light, and gloom with no brightness at all? And so this is a great slam. I mean, the audience that's being written to by Amos here, they look forward to the day of the Lord when God comes to his people and visits them. And they hope that when God comes and visits his people, there will be blessings and they will be uplifted and that they will be set above the nations and great things for Israel. And he says, yeah, that's not what the day of the Lord is going to be like for you. It's going to be like you ran away from a lion and smacked right into a bear. Or like you're on a journey and you're tired and you come home and you lean against the house and you're bit by a snake. That's what the day of the Lord is going to be like to you. Total slam and just kind of a funny image.
Yeah. If it were in a comedy, some sort of a sitcom, it would not be like things that can kill you, but like you go from one of this thing to the next thing, like, or I think like the Stooges, where like you avoid the thing that's going to hit you, and then you hit in the face with this other thing.
You're running away from something, and you step on the rake, and then it smacks you in the nose,
Right,
and you
yeah.
turn around, and you put your hand on a stove, and
Exactly.
there are comedy routines today that look exactly like this scene.
Yes.
I don't know. Things we think of Jurassic Park. You know, you run from the Velociraptors right into a T-Rex. You know,
Sure.
that's just where my.
You gonna see the new movie?
I'm trying to decide.
It's the best one since the first one, they say.
I know people are saying that. It's how many different ways can people be eaten by dinosaurs?
I think a few.
Yeah, so
We saw it. It was good.
Oh.
It was like every other Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
I think, once the first one was created, there were just different versions of the first one.
Yeah,
Different characters, same idea.
yeah.
right.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
It wasn't terrible. I mean, new characters and
yeah. People run from dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat people. People eventually get away from the dinosaurs. So
I'll say we're in Hawaii. We got to visit the place the original one was shot at. That's a pretty beautiful
yeah.
place.
yeah, we saw the same thing in Kauai because they used some different
Yeah, I'm
places.
sure they-
so,
multiple
We
places.
walked through a place where they actually did some filming for it. So it was pretty cool. I agree.
that's right. I have that iconic fence where they go into
Yep.
it. That's where we got some photos from that spot
Yeah,
in Hawaii. Yeah, good times.
good times.
All right. We have at least time for one more.
Yeah.
We'll jump to Jonah. And Jonah is another one of those that is crafted. It's full of hyperbole, little things that like you might get a little snicker, like, ah. But it ends in chapter 3, verse 10, where they repented. God saw what they did. So God repented, didn't bring that calamity upon them. And then we have Jonah's response in chapter 4, verse 1. But this was very pleasing to Jonah, and he became angry. He prayed to Yahweh and said, "Oh, Yahweh, is this not what I said while I was still in my own country? That is why I fled to Tarshish in the beginning, for I knew that you were gracious and merciful God, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast love, relenting from punishment. And now, O Yahweh, please take my life from me. It is better for me to die than to live." And Yahweh said, "Is it right for you to be angry?" Then Jonah went out of the city and sat down east of the city and made a booth for himself. He sat under it in the shade, waiting to see what would become of the city. Then the Lord God appointed a bush and made it come up over Jonah to give shade over his head to save him from his discomfort. So Jonah was very happy about the bush. But when dawn came the next day, God appointed a worm that attacked the bush, and so it withered. When the sun rose, God prepared a sultry east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah so that he was faint and asked that he might die. He said, "It is better for me to die than to live." But God said to Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the bush?" Then he said, "Yes, angry enough to die." Then Yahweh said, "You are concerned about the bush for which you did not labor, for which you did not grow, and it came to being in a night and perished in a night. And should I not be concerned about Nineveh, that great city, in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also many animals?" And so the humor of this is just what a stinker Jonah is being.
Yeah.
Like how just dramatic he is, this over the top. And of course, this is about some serious things.
Yeah.
It's one thing for like not getting the cookie you asked for. It's another he's mad that God actually saved people from dying, and he just throws this big fit, and he just says, "Oh, I'm angry enough to die.
I just want to die.
And, it's better for me to die than to live. If I can't be under a shaded bush, what's the point of it all?"
Yes, that's exactly the way it comes off.
Yeah. So it's just funny. This is a funny telling.
Yeah. No, I agree. And this is where God's prophets are not always the good guys. Jonah, he does his job reluctantly after going through a lot of trauma. It's like, fine, God, I'll do it. And so he doesn't start off the story being a particularly admirable character. And so he finally does his job, and he doesn't even really give him an option for repentance. He's like, you're going to die. All right, see you later. And he just walks off. And God spares them, and he's mad. He's mad that God is compassionate and merciful, and I just want to die.
And I think
how did this guy get to be a prophet? How did he ever get this?
Well, he didn't want the job. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole book is a satire.
Yeah.
And Jonah is made to look silly because sometimes we can be silly about how we view people
Fair
that
enough.
We want God's judgment upon. And no good can ever come from my enemy, and that's just not the way God views things. And I think the ending is kind of fun too. Like, God's saying, don't I have the right to, care about this city with all these inhabitants and the animals?
Yes.
And the place of the animals in the book is interesting because earlier when the king of Nineveh proclaims a fast and sackcloth and mourning across the whole city, he makes the animals wear sackcloth too.
Exactly.
And so the fact that the animals are brought in here at the end, these God-worshiping, mourning, sackcloth animals, God cares about them too. And I think that kind of ring device there with the animals is humorous as well. Adds to great telling. I think we can wrap up the Old Testament. We have 2 passages left.
I believe in you.
Wow. So you're putting the next one on me from Micah, which is kind of tough because there's a lot of puns here, and my Hebrew is really, really rusty. So I don't know if you guys want me to read it or you want
You can read it, but it's just a team effort on interpreting it.
All right. That's what we're going to do then. So it's Micah chapter 1, starting in verse 10. Tell it not in Gath, weep not at all. In Beth Lephra, did I say that right?
Sure.
Roll yourselves in the dust. Pass on your way, inhabitants of Shaphir, in nakedness and shame. The inhabitants of Zanan, do not come forth. Beth Ezel is wailing and shall remove its support from you. I'm going till verse 15. So for the inhabitants of Marath, wait anxiously for good, yet disaster has come down from the Lord Yahweh to the gate of Jerusalem. Harness the steeds to the chariots, inhabitants of Lachish. It was the beginning of sin to the daughters of Zion. To daughter Zion. For in you were found the transgressions of Israel. Therefore you shall give parting gifts to Moresheth Gath. The houses of Achzib shall be a deception to the kings of Israel. I will again bring a conqueror upon you, inhabitants of Marashah. The glory of Israel shall come to Adullam. And that was the last one, right? Verse 15, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, make yourselves bald, cut off your hair for your pampered children. Make yourselves as bald as an eagle, for they have gone from you into exile. So come on, Hebrew people.
we
What
don't
are
have
all
time.
the word
We've talked
plays
about this
there?
before.
Yeah, we have. There's just a lot of play on words in the sense of like the word being used or the city place sounds like another word. And so when he says things like Gath, Gath could sound like a word for tell. So he says, don't Gath it in Gath is kind of what is what's going to, that's what a lot of these are. Like, don't do this thing that sounds like this other name. Or like, excuse me, like roll yourselves in the dust, like Beth Lephra means like house of dust. So like, it's just, he's just playing off the words, either the meaning or the sound to create this whole little poem. And so the original audience would have gotten it and would have laughed. We look at it and say, okay, that's weird. All right.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But like, they're all like little puns, little play on words, and they're kind of fun.
And we bring it up. It's not funny in English.
No.
But we bring it up that in Hebrew it is.
Yeah.
Right. And we gave some modern day examples, didn't we? Like last time when we did our study
Yeah,
through Micah, like we made up like, I don't know, inhabitants of New York. Your story is so old.
Right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where you just kind of take someone's name and turn around and make it into an insult.
Yep.
And so it must have been like, especially to the people who were not on the receiving side of the judgment. If you were maybe from Judah, you're like, oh man, this prophet is taking them down in style, and he's taken their names that are names of honor and glory and turned them into shame.
Right.
And
Well, and it's not always even funny, but still funny in a very ironic way to the original audience.
And it was very clever. And again, if you want to learn more about this, you can go to our series where I think we spend a lot more time on this. But it's intended to be clever and funny, and at the same time, very judgmental.
It's real judgy.
All right, last one, and we're not going to end the Old Testament with a bang.
We're going to prep you. This is not a good one.
It's another instance of the Israelites mocking the idols of Babylon. So here we're in Habakkuk chapter 2. I'll just read a couple of verses, 18 and 19. What use is an idol? Once its maker has shaped it, a cast image, a teacher of lies. I didn't say that right. What use an idol? Anyway, for its maker trusts in what it has made, though the product is only an idol that cannot speak. Alas for you who say to wood, wake up! To silent stone, rouse yourself! Can it teach? See, it is gold and silver plated, and there is no breath in it at all.
So again, the idea of it's empty, it's worthless, it's lifeless, like it can't do anything. And it's like once you make it and shape it, why would you trust in it? You saw how it came about. What good is it? And again, it's the whole just like impugning this idea that an idol can do anything for you.
The work of your own hands.
And the funniest parts of these phrases where they talk to it. You've made this thing and then you start talking to it. Get up, wake up. And that's kind of mocking their worship practices.
Yeah.
Because in essence, when you're worshiping this idol, you're saying, okay, thing that I have just made, come alive, and wake up and do something, when really it's just a lifeless piece of stone or wood. So, all right. Well, we finished the Old Testament, and, I really think we only barely scratched the surface of the funniness.
There are more things that we've probably overlooked, but yeah.
Yeah. So next week we'll pick up with the New Testament. So in the meantime, thanks for joining us for this episode of the After Class podcast. After Class because
The best conversations happen
after class. Class.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the After Class podcast. ACP is hosted by Sam Long, John Nugent, and Ron Peters. Social media pictures and descriptions are provided by Darren Harris. Audio mixing and editing is done by Drew Nyquist. If you've enjoyed this episode of ACP, you might also enjoy GLCC's Master of Arts in Practical Theology degree. In this 36-hour program, you will receive first-rate biblical and theological instruction from John, Ron, Sam, and several of their colleagues at Great Lakes Christian College. To learn more about this program, visit glcc.edu. Get practical and go deep at GLCC.